Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions, to the Supreme Happiness Circle. Infinite light. And we see that this is, we learn what dedication to ourselves really is. Because the play of consciousness is dedication to the no to God. And we have to have him, God, Jesus, teach us how undedicated we are to our true nature. And you can ask him, in honesty of God, does the dedication to following his voice have to be 100%? Like, for the recognition, full transcendence of identity. See, and you can ask him, does it have to be like no sideways? Just ask him, you know, can I like go off sideways sometimes? No, because sideways is always going to make that personal identity. It's like really investing in cement to cement yourself into a body. You can ask Jesus. It's literally lining up for the death machine, the gas chamber. That's what not following is. It's just literally saying it's okay to enter the death chamber. That's how you can ask him so he can tell you. So when I don't follow you, Jesus, like he's still going to be there. It's just that investment makes it even harder to break free because the bank of weakness, see, we just gave over everything. We turned ourselves over to weakness. And it's harder. And I didn't really, you know, it was great having Lisa Fair reflect, because I was called to go to Muji, and Jesus has explained that. But you can see when you give over, and he'll start showing you where you're given over to the ego, and how it's like the ego goes like, oh, boy, I escaped that one. That's what the ego will say. Oh, I just escaped. And then it comes up with a list of reasons why everything has to be the way it is. That's just its function. Its function is reasons. Rationale. See, it has a rationale. These are all the things. You know, David Hoffmeister would say, peace of mind is no small gift. Then when you discover that you get that taste of supreme infinite happiness, and you go, it's like you'd be saying no left and right to the slightest twitch. Because you'll see that tiny little seeming no. Now you start to understand why it's got to be so true. Because underneath that no, like we've been talking about, is the iceberg. You see, it's not saying, no, okay, Jesus, I'm not going to follow you in this moment. It's saying no to keep the, you know, the iceberg of hell running below the subconscious mind. You can ask them, are there any exceptions to you know, and went back to, I'd been at Living Miracles, then I went to Muji. And Lisa Fair saw me back at Living Miracles because I will follow Jesus, you know, and she said it took tremendous courage to come back here. It makes it extra. See, it just seems like you go do something else, but it was like that movie today that we watched, The Man Who Knew Too Little. See, his brother didn't want to accept his brother. He wanted to hide him. He wanted to bury him. He didn't want his important clients to see him. Those were all the beliefs about himself. And he kept trying to toss his brother out. Do you see? So even whatever grievances from not being at any location, let's say with the brother or being at Living Miracles, every one of those had to be seen through. Like it's ask Jesus. So we can't physically, you know, we have to see what we're saying no to, actually. And that's what Jesus is offering us, to really see, okay, this is what I'm saying no to. I'm saying no to infinite. And the ego will go, well, it's just this right now, you know, that it's going to be a little later. We just don't, it's not about saying yes or no to it's about willingness to look right now at what we're saying no to. What we're really saying no to. Because as soon as it clears the no, I remember that was such a great lesson at Living Miracles, because someone was really, they wanted a birthday party. And they told them no. They didn't hear it. Now, this is, see, you tell these kind of stories and the mind will get attached to the form of it. But it was not about the birthday, yes or no. It's about being true to what's most helpful for healing the mind. And then to look at the attachment to that idea of what having a birthday or isn't. Do you see? It's not withholding something. And then it's like, well, Jesus is not going to give me a birthday cake. No. Jesus is giving you the biggest birthday cake at all. Mm-hmm. Supreme being. He's telling you really what is in alignment with you. He's just going, here's where supreme happiness is for you, the whole. But, you know, it's like, oh, he's going to deprive me of birthday. No, it was just look at the attachment, and that became free. And all of a sudden they had a cake. Now, it's not about the cake. I need to be, but until those things clear from the mind, we just look at what we don't want to see. Are you willing to see what you've denied because it's true? So it's not about a coming or a going or he's making me do something or any of those things. He's saying, look now at the cover over of divine nature right here, right now. And let me show you specifically how you're covering it over. That's it. That's all it is. It's right here, right now, infinite peace, infinite love, infinite joy. And then there's the play of consciousness that has every reason not to be that. And then make happiness in the future. My happiness depends on that event, this these are the things that make me happy. See, a me can never be happy. Ask Jesus, can a me be happy? It's not possible. A me is a pleasure and a pain machine. it's a justification how I can be, see that you can even hear the language in it. I want, this is, see that the light is the light going, here's what I want to be. Here's what will make me happy. It doesn't, here's what I need. You see, see that the light doesn't have any, it is. What function does isness have? What need does an isness have to plan a future? Infinite light. We can look in the light. Does it have a little strategic operating plan? I love it. Oh, it's so humorous. That coming from a former strategic planning facilitator and operations strategic. We had like it was a whole year-long, no, it wasn't 3-month process with corporate leadership executive teams to map out their strategic and operations plan. That was the whole. Now, there's teaming in that, seeing what's true. There's some. But it's not infinite. Never going to get infinite from a strategic operating plan. Okay, and who's admitting that? Is a okay, maybe we'll sit down for the center. I don't know, at some point. And okay, what are we going to do over the next 6 months? Yes, Jesus may come in and say, okay, here's the things to be thinking about. Practical. He says, learn how to live as life itself now. Right now, that's the function of the center. Follow me. That's only for me. As I've said, I went to buy this I would have had a whole 3-year. Let me see, and how many retreats and how much money, and we're going to make operations work, and let me see the checklist, check every door and window and every, and start to see how heavy that is, And as I've said many times, there's not a chance the K character would have bought this place. Not. It's not mine. It doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to Jesus. It's his, Strategic operating officer, Jesus Christ. It's very light, because you see, you don't own anything, What does the light have to do with ownership? Can we find ownership in infinite light? I will go before you, clearing a path. And we just watch it here. It goes before us. We've had some of the most adorable contractors in here, beyond adorable. And we've already talked about Enrique and Tambo. Like, so much love, they train us. See, they're their training department. Just follow them. They're 2 Jesuses. It came pre-planned with 2 Jesus Christ on property here. 2 Zen monks, devoted to the whole, perennially happy. Already came pre-planned by 2 Jesuses built in to the woodwork here. Well, there's no woodwork. Okay, it's into the masonry because it's all brick. That's it. And to be guided in every, the freedom in that, to live, to be life itself. And then, okay, what next? Okay, all right. So now we'll do chapter 14. What a great chapter. What do we need to see here, Jesus? It gets inspiring. That's what I'm so appreciative of him. It just so inspired to go full court press with him. Because as we're, talked about here a bit, to see for the first time how deep that no goes. That's the greatest gift on this whole trip, I think. Because then it's like, boy, I need him. So his help so much. It's like a whole new relationship with Jesus when you see what that no really looks like. The wanting to say no to God with every shred of energetic. It's like yes, I'm asking, is it helpful to get that point? Because you just really, you see it, then it's here. Can't like hide from it anymore. Then it seems like a concept, that no. And then that's all you want to see. Okay, show me. It becomes the real, everything becomes an opportunity to be taught by Jesus. So we come to this beautiful chapter, honesty of God. And this is where we really need some, because we don't know what honesty is. We think honesty is something that comes out of our mouth. And then we say, well, let me tell you the truth about, here's what happened. Okay, I'm going to tell you to the best of my, see who's talking, my ability. And then this stuff comes out that has nothing to do with reality whatsoever. It's so precious, that movie today, for watching the play. One being would say one thing, and then two other little beings over here would come up with a whole whatever was happening. It's always a story about what's not happening. But it becomes playful. See, it's like that character. He's not attached to anything. He would have an interpretation. It would be hilarious because he's not in the play, that Bill Murray character. His interpretation was always per innocence interpretation. See that the light itself has no interpretive function. Doesn't know what interpretation. See, infinite light. But we're so used to hellish interpretation. And Jesus is teaching us innocent interpretation. And you could see it was just like everything was fun. He's like speeding away from the police and he's like, that was fun. And still you're thinking, you could just hear, oh, I wonder if he's going to get in trouble and, all the thing. And then he's so totally clueless that it was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. I just totally got out of that, not without a scratch. All these guns blazing and going off all over the place. And he's like holding the gun in his hand, pointed at himself, looking at it, pointing at it, shooting it at people, and never hit anybody. Oh, they're all props, he's playing, everything was a prop. All the little props and toys, but boy, you got to ask Jesus how much you want them. Jesus, do I really need to have a conversation with you about how I love the props of the world and playing them? So that's the only conversation I ever have, really, that's worthwhile. Because the rest is an investment in the story of a me. And just see how many me stories there are. that come out. And just start to notice when a me story kind of blooms out like that, how it's a defense against innocence. How much in that story, you can just start to observe, we can be curious because it's, this is the guilt-free zone. So we just kind of observe that blooming that comes out in a story time, telling about all this, all the happiness in the future, and that this is going to happen, and here's my next plan. But see it for what it is. Defense against innocence. And so he's offering honesty of God. It's so beautiful. Beloved. It's like a love letter. This whole book's a love letter. Thank you, Jesus, for this letter. Beloved, the love that I have for you comes from the deepest love that God has for you. He cannot leave his son bereaved in time. Yet he cannot interfere with his son's desire to remain bereaved in darkness. So he calls to you to remind you of your infinite power, to cease to choose to remain in darkness. See that in truth, this world holds no gifts for you. No trinkets to hold on to. The desire gives you nothing but emptiness and despair. This is what the ego doesn't want to look at. That I love how Kelly started talking about the iceberg, because it's so on point. You see, we think there's a little twitch out there, but below it is a huge no to God, to everything that we are. And until it's really looked at, that iceberg, ask Jesus, can I be free? Can't be free. And so he's pointing to, see in truth, this world holds no gifts for you. And he's reminding us of the infinite power we have to look directly at these things, to see how we're investing in death. See that in truth, this world holds no gifts for you. It's like until it's really looked at with him, to see where we think, we really believe that the world's gifts are salvation. We can't be free. You can ask him. Until I've looked at the full Monty of the I don't want salvation, can I ever be free? You can ask them how much those worldly gifts are the way the ego invests in death. Just watch, just notice the stories. Just want to record a story when you say it, here's all the things and this what, and then listen, just listen to it sometime. Well, we can watch it in movies because it's safe, but record one of your own stories. Just for fun. You're going off on a diatribe or something. Just hit the record button and just listen so carefully to it and go, you'll feel a steam rise now. And just really listen to all the storylines and the becauses and the future and the was's and the what isn't and so you can see the diction in it. I'm asked, is that, yes, Jesus says that's really helpful. Because it comes out of the mouth so easily, and then this and that and this and that and this and that, and this is why, and to see how that all arising there is defense. And Jesus said, you feel you would be bereft without this when you're really bereaved. See, we don't see that we're talking while sitting in the cemetery with that. That's how graphic he's got to get with us, seriously. You see how graphic he really is in the Course because there's such display that makes it okay not to follow him because we believe it's death to follow. See that in truth, this world holds no gifts for you, no trinkets to hold on to. The desire gives you nothing but emptiness and despair. See, sometimes consciousness literally, people say rock bottom. I'm talking to Jesus about rock bottom because he says that isn't even it yet. That doesn't even touch what's hidden. That's direct. Okay, Jesus. And I get it. He says, even your deepest despair is not showing you what's hidden, because despair is a desired experience to deny what's hidden.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's for all. That's for everyone.
Yeah.
Let us look further at desire, your desire for a world apart from the Father's will. The addiction to the experience of despair. Of course, Jesus, is there an addiction to despair below my level of awareness? See, that's the play. Despair is that. What is despair? Let's ask them. It's a desired experience to feel like it's impossible to wake up. It's a miscreation of an experience that God's not here. You can ask him. See what he says. This will be good. I love this. I love these little joining sessions and hear what Jesus tells everyone. It's fantastic. Because the power of God moves in every being.
Mm-hmm.
Divine power. It's just another one of those, put it on the list of arguments with God. We'll ask him, Jesus, is despair an argument with God? It seems to hide in food, sexuality, work, your brother, death and destruction, all miscreated images in this world. The script of your experience is instantaneously being written by every subconscious desire that you withhold from the light of truth. So we can just sit with that one. Jesus is the script of what I'm experiencing now being written by all subconscious desires, and hear his response to that are below my level of awareness. And do I want to keep from seeing myself from seeing those at all costs? That's why we have to get to the point where we say no in every circumstance to a false identity. See, it just doesn't work as a part-time op. You can ask Jesus. Someone said, I think it was Irene said this, and she commented, and you start to see that. This is a 24/7 gig. Because we set up a little manufacturer of the no to God that works 24/7. And this is how the ego plays. Well, I've spent this whole day with Jesus. Time for me to go, You see how, and then it reconstructs the little fiefdom there. It's like, I've been really good about Jesus all day long, and see, then it's an exception. It can't be. You can ask them. Let them tell you. It's full. Jesus is it. Yes. He just says it's just the way consciousness plays, at least for here. I can just say for here, though, because light's here. It can be accepted now. That's all there is. And then you just follow the light because you know it's you. See, there are no excuses for following the light anymore. But any not following the light, quote unquote, is an investment in the bank of death. You can ask Jesus. So when I make it okay, see, what belief makes it okay not to follow the light? You can ask Jesus if he'll show you. Jesus, what belief do I have that it's not okay to follow the light all the time, 24/7? What belief that that light isn't valued? That supreme happiness isn't valued 24/7. You can ask him, Jesus, do I not want to experience supreme happiness 24/7? So then this is honesty of God. See, that's the real conversation. That honesty of God, like asking him and having here, nope. And it's like, okay, Jesus, show him. I just gave myself the boot out of heaven. Help me. So every subconscious desire you withhold from the light of truth comes the script. See, and you could see all the characters playing in the script. In the movie today, The Man Who Knew Too Little. All the characters were so involved in trying to preserve a piece of personal identity. When you have no identity, there's nothing to protect, see? Supreme happiness has no identity, nothing. What does supreme happiness have to protect? If we look, can you find something that perfect peace has to protect? It seems to, so I'm going to read this over because it's such a powerful sentence. The script of your experience is instantaneously being written by every subconscious desire that you withhold from the light of truth. It seems to be in time, yet when you look carefully as the light of truth, you will see that no script is being written at all. That's a good mind twist right there. We can look at that. I'm asking him. He says, yes, let's talk about the script as written, because that's a favorite. Now let's start with infinite light of being. Does infinite light have a script? The only script that's written in infinite light of being is that you're it. See, it doesn't have a story in there. It doesn't have a storyline. See that infinite light is a storyline in infinite light. We can look in there. Let's look in there. It's good to explore infinite light because we're so used to exploring objective experience and insisting that's who I am. Defending personal, keeping a personal identity. Okay. So see that starting there is a good place to really, then the script is written becomes very intuitive. See, consciousness wants to play like, you know, it's all predetermined. It gets in the predetermined argument. The most helpful thing to see is there is no script. But what he's pointing to now, or that the script is written that we all have to take the course. See, the script is written that the only way to go is infinite. And the time you take is the required course. That's it's, you can push it back, but there's only the infinite highway to infinite. So then we can look at, so then we can see in the light, no script at all whatsoever. So now we can ask, if you were to have a script of a bunch of characters playing like the characters in the movie today, you can see each character was, I'm asking this go away. He says yes. Each character is playing a role based on the subconscious desires for experience. There aren't a bunch of characters out there. But you could learn from observing different characters because it's an expression of the beliefs that are being held. The interpreted function in consciousness operates based on what's below the subconscious mind. So all those desires is blowing out into objective experience, interpretive function. That's why forgiveness washes out interpretation, judgment. So without Jesus, we can't see where that because we're inside the interpretive function. We need that thing outside of interpretive function to come in and straighten us out. On where what's below the subconscious mind that's generating experience right here and now, the interpretive function, play in consciousness to interpret everything. The desire to see your brother as not awake is the same as your desire not to see yourself as awake. The desire to see your brother wrong is the same as your desire to see yourself wrong. This is the desire for a story on a timeline. Your desire to see your brother as imperfect or limited is the same as your desire to see yourself as imperfect. Jesus, do I have a desire to see my brother as imperfect? Do I have a desire to see myself as imperfect? Do I have a desire to see my brothers not awake? Do I have a desire not to see myself as awake? To sleep? Do I have a desire to experience dreaming? Will you help me see through that desire to dream? The desire to feel superior is the same as the desire to feel inferior. See, ask Jesus. You see how that's how consciousness plays. It seems like those are different. Sometimes we want to feel superior and sometimes inferior, but see that they're the split of more or less than what we are. And really try and see if you can feel how much that really hurts. Because consciousness could convince you that does not hurt. That hurts a lot. Just really, because it'll spew that out on a timeline.
Yeah.
But if you can really sit with that split desire to feel more and less than who you are with Jesus for a while, let him deliver that one out. It'll release so much death from below the subconscious level of awareness. You can ask him, will that release a lot of, because you start to recognize that itch for split, itch for two. These are shadows the Son of God cast in his holy mind. We can ask too, Jesus, are these just shadows? Yes. Little shadow boxing puppets that you just start to see how much you want to like duke it out in there. Bing, bing. That hilarious. We're so entertaining ourselves. Okay. Love knows not of because, or if then, or when, wherefores or whys, nor story. No story tells you who you are. Could you see that play in consciousness today in the movie that we watched? Where everyone, all the beings were just into the story. The main character would say something and then that interpretive function would come in and just tell a little story. Well, that means, and it was always pointing to hell every time. That means something horrible is going to happen. The ego is always looking for a story that will make you feel better. See, it's really interesting just to observe in consciousness, the story, you watch this, it's really, when you get onto it, right? You just watch one story bloom, it'll go like this, and then another story will try to fight that story. It'd be like two little argument lines in there. Like, and if this story was just reshaped in a different way, then I'd feel better. Right? If that thing happened in the past a little differently, I'd feel better. And you just see that argument going on. But what about this? Then I'd feel better. And what about that? Then it'd feel better. And if I'd said this, I'd feel better. Soon you're a pretzel. Because we just affiliated with the death play. See, that's a death march, but we don't realize it. We're used to affiliating with all that. Just see that the light's doesn't set up camp in a pretzel. The light's just unimpacted by all that. And that contrast is really helpful. Is the light getting involved in? No. The ego makes and then goes, oh my gosh, God, what is happening to me? I can't get away from Mr. Mind. Like the Mr. Mind video that's so adorable from Sahaja. There's a couple, Monty Sahaja, that we put out on our group. Most of you probably have seen it. But if you watch it, you can see how they're trying, they have so many great things in that. Wanting to be friends, cuddling up to the ego. Ask Jesus, do we cuddle up to the ego?
No.
Yes. Yes, we cuddle up to it. We want to. Ask him if we, Jesus, do I want to cuddle up to the ego? And here's the answer. At least we can be, this chapter's honesty of God. And we can see that the only one who can tell us honesty of God is that one. Because we intend, the play of consciousness is to play not to know what honesty is. All of consciousness is dishonesty. Ask Jesus. It's dabbling in the unreal. We have them to lead us out. Dun, dun, dun. And to show us the no. By joining and join. And look at everything. Jesus, do I need to be willing to look at absolutely everything? And hear his answer. Can I just sneak a little scrap in there? Like, and David says it so well, not a single scrap can be maintained. Not a single scrap can be maintained. Because it's saying no, it's dabbling in the untrue. The question is, are we, where, it's Jesus says, are we putting it in the bank of death or the bank of life? And he is really, I'm seeing that more and more. I'm asking Jesus is exactly how it is. Exactly how it is he is really the only one who can show us where the denials are. Because again, he knows where honesty is. See, we don't know where the play of consciousness is to deny honesty of God. And so the reason we avoid talking to him, of course, is because that's to prolong the timeline out, the dishonesty. But we're here to help each other, not to judge, oh, that's dishonesty over there. No. Because it's innocence. But we also know that supreme being can only be accepted here. It's not over there. It's here. It's going, I'm going to say no in every case. My commitment to myself as supreme being is I'm saying no in every case, without exception. And then that greases this. Then it doesn't. It's just acceptance of divinity. He says it's no longer indulging, in the play of consciousness to define ourselves. And we thank Jesus and our brother for coming with his wisdom and his willingness and jumping all the joins. Don't let the ego talk you out of joining. Really, because it will do everything it can to prevent joining with your brother using that worksheet. And really trust that your brothers that are given here are the ones that are coming forth to really, for that deep looking for that deep discovery of what true honesty is. And jump a join. As many joining as Jesus points you to. And I'm asking about that. And see that it's a way to express divine being for us. That's all it is. It's learning, having him teach us how to express this infinite. It's so beautiful. It's a gift we're giving to each other. See, it's giving of yourself fully, Jesus says. Giving of yourself fully. How beautiful is that? In a way that we've never experienced before. You can hear the beings that have been joining talk about it in the joining sessions. So share your experiences because it serves the whole. You can post on the brigade if you've had an experience talking to Jesus or in your joining sessions, please post them there because they serve everyone to see that everyone can hear Jesus and that he's fulfilling his promises with us with the power of this joining. Amen. Thank you, Jesus.